to take decisive action regarding the position of superintendent at the August 21st board meeting. As leaders within our respective associations, we are deeply committed to the success and well-being of our district. However, the current uncertainty surrounding the superintendent's role has created challenges that impede our ability to move forward effectively. For the sake of our students, staff, and the broader community, we believe it's crucial that the board establish a clear path forward. We request that the board promptly address this matter, ensuring that our district is guided by stable and visionary leadership. This will allow us to continue our mission of providing quality education and support to every student in Antioch. Thank you for your attention to this important issue. We look forward to working collaboratively to achieve a positive outcome for our district. Thank you.
And the three items on our closed session agenda are, again, before we go to closed session, is 2A, a public employee discipline dismissal release, 2B, public employee appointment, interim/acting superintendent, C, public employee performance evaluation, superintendent, and D, stipulated expulsion, E, number 857. So we'll go ahead and convene for closed session and return back to open session at 7 p.m.
Sure.
All right, I call the meeting back to order at 7:13. Maya, can you reestablish the quorum?
Yes. Trustee Hack?
I'm here.
Trustee Lathan?
Here.
Trustee Lewis? Vice President Rocha?
Here.
President Hernandez?
Here. Moving on to reports from closed session. We do have an item to report. The board took action in closed session to terminate the superintendent's employment agreement effective immediately without cause pursuant to the terms of that employment agreement. The vote was as follows, 5-0 with Trustee Hack, Trustee Lathan, Trustee Lewis, who joined us over teleconference due to a COVID positive test, so he was joining us over teleconference. Yes by Vice President Rocha, and a yes vote by me, so it's unanimous, 5-0. I'll now turn it over to Vice President Rocha to read a statement.
As a senior member, I've been given the privilege to at least say a few words in behalf of the superintendent. I would like to say that this is without cause, meaning, and hope you understand, the circumstances here is that we need to go forward. We need to take care of this business. This is the new year. And so I want to read some of the things that we feel that her leadership has done. And we would like to express our sincere gratitude to Superintendent Anello for her 25 years of dedicated service to our district, beginning in 1998, when she first served as a substitute teacher. Ms. Anello is the only second female superintendent to lead the district and is the longest-serving superintendent in the history of Antioch Unified School District. Some of her notable achievements as superintendent include increasing accessibility for parents and guardians who speak language other than English by ensuring bilingual assistance to all school sites and district office, expanding social and emotional support for students by reintroducing and increasing the number of counselors and mental health support for every school, instituting a comprehensive restorative justice program throughout the district, providing secondary sites with access to restorative justice coaches, writing and implementing the district's first local control accountability plan, navigating the unique challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic, making Antioch Unified School District one of the first districts in the county to offer free meals, computers, hotspots, and remote instruction, and even starting our own school. Overseeing the implementation of Measure B to upgrade and restore and renovate Antioch High School, and successfully passing Measure, which would be the measure that we just did for $195 million and needed for upgrades and repair of school site. So we hope that Mrs. Anello gets better in the future, and that we look forward to at least having a direction of going forward in our district. And I thank you, and I hope that we can all come together and understand that Mrs. Anello has done a good job in this district. Thank you.
Moving on to C, flag salute. Trustee Lathan, do you want to lead us in the flag salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on to item D, approval of minutes for the regular Board of Education meeting of August 7th, 2024. Unless there's any discussion or amendments to the minutes as presented, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I so move.
Second.
Great, so it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the regular Board of Education meeting of August 7th, 2024. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say no, and the motion passes. Moving on to 4, Superintendent's report, I will turn over to Dr. Martinez.
Yes, good evening, Board President Hernandez, Vice President Rocha, board members, members of the community, and public. We're at the second week of school, and preliminary numbers indicate that we will have well over 15,000 students who have returned to the Antioch Unified School District schools and programs for this school year. We're continuing to monitor enrollment, reaching out to families who may not have returned just yet. We want everybody back, and have already held our elementary back-to-school nights. The middle school back-to-school nights occur tomorrow, and our high school holds theirs next Thursday on August 29th. As you recall, I mentioned that Dr. Damon Harris from Solution Tree and the Educational Services team provided certificated professional development on August 7th, and the feedback received is phenomenal. Both quantitative and qualitative data was positive, and we look forward to his return on November 1st and January 7th to continue that work with our certificated employees. Last year, the district had began publishing the District Digest, and we have decided that we're going to place that on the district website for more easy access for our employees and the community. The Digest provides an array of information that we believe provides a glimpse into the workings of the district and many wonderful activities happening at our schools. And so with that, that's the end of the report tonight. We're just thrilled to be back in action at our school sites. I know our teachers are thrilled to be there. And again, the work of our classified staff that they're doing as well, welcoming our folks, enrolling folks, and keeping our schools up to par. So thank you.
Great. Moving on to item 5, school reports. We have none. 6, public comments. A, individuals to address the board regarding items not on the agenda from the public. We have none. For 6B, individuals to address the board regarding items not on the agenda from district employees. We have a comment from Amanda Freitas.
Good evening. I came here last month, or a couple weeks ago. I've been at Fremont for the last 13 years, and I've been advocating for our school for at least the last 8 to 9. It's not easy for me to come up here. I get knots in my stomach. It's hard for me to send emails to you, but I do it because I want the best for the scholars at our school. I did send you each an email last night. I'm just really concerned with the condition of Fremont. I want to invite each of you down to our school to check it out. The pictures I sent you are just a snapshot of some of the problems that we have at our school. I also would invite you to be there for a drop-off and pickup so you could see how crazy it is out there and how unsafe it is for our students. I also wanted to mention that this is probably the worst start to a school year that we've had in a very long time. I wish that we could prioritize our scholars and their families over dollars, but we don't do that. We had to overflow 17 students to other schools. That also included their siblings because, it's hard for families to send students to 2 different schools. And one of the issues is a lot of our families walk to school. So when we're overflowing them I know we overflowed 10 students to Belshaw. That's a real hardship on our families to try getting our students over there. It's also hard because they've been in school for the last 2 weeks almost, getting to know a teacher, building a classroom community, and then out of the blue, their families were called and said, "I'm sorry, we don't have room here. We're sending you to a school, a few miles away." I also came to a meeting last school year to express some concerns about Sierra School taking over more of our campus. We have no room on our campus. Our campus is small. We have a lot of students. We have many more students this year than we've had in the past, and we don't have space. And the fact that we gave up, I think it was 3 portables last school year, really impacted us. I'm also concerned as a parent that those students are using our playground during the school day. It seems to me that they're going to Sierra School because they couldn't handle being in a general education public classroom. And I know that the campus that they came from before, they had a playground in a fenced off area. We've had issues with students from that school running around our campus. We've had to actually lock our doors so they couldn't get into our classroom. They've thrown things at our students. It just doesn't seem safe that they are out there playing when our students are out there. And then lastly, I feel like SPED always has a big issue. We've started this school year. Our psychologist isn't able to do any assessment plans because she has no access in SACE. So we have families who have called for IEPs, wanting to get assessments done, and she can't do anything because she doesn't have access to do it, and that seems really unfair to our families. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Kim Atkinson.
I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you, Antonio Hernandez and Dr. Jag, for listening, and thank you all for doing the right thing. And thank you, Bob Carson, and the teachers, and everybody in this district who believed us and heard us and did what was right. I can't thank you enough. I cannot if I could stand here for 3 minutes and just say thank you over and over again, I would. You heard us, and when nobody would listen, and when it was so bad and so traumatic, and now it's time to heal. Let's all heal. Let's move forward. Let's start doing what we love, and that's teaching children. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we have another item under 6B, Brian Atkinson.
I'm going to kind of echo what Mrs. Atkinson said. Thank you all for listening. The members out here, thank you guys so much for actually listening and finally doing the right thing. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody up here. You listened. Might have taken a long time, but thank you. It truly means a lot to us. And like Kim said, I think it is time to move on. And hopefully this will end some of the stuff going on in other directions. And we can move forward. And thank you. Thank you, guys. It means so much to us. Again, thank you.
Moving on to 7 district reports, we have none. 8 hearings, we have none. 9 public presentations, we have none. 10 consent items. Are there any items that board members would like to discuss separately or pull for a separate vote?
I have 2 items I have questions about.
Yes, Trustee Lathan.
Thank you. 10E, proposal for H-Kit Architects. So this is probably for Ms. Robbins.
I do have Jeff Evans here from HKIT if you have specific questions.
Okay, yes, we'll see if this is a question for him or for staff. So the action is to approve a dollar amount for $922,000, a little bit over that. However, the language in the proposal also reads the construction budget is projected to be about $8 million for the building. So this is for, I don't remember which site it's for. Do you?
It's the TKK.
The TK
classes.
for all school campuses?
John Muir.
For John Muir. And related site work, and about $750,000 for the play yard for a total of $8.75 million. The project delivery method is likely design, bid, build. And the project is tentatively scheduled to start schematic design on July 2024. My question is, what is the $922,000 for, and when will the $8.75 million be brought to us, or was it already previously brought to us?
That's just their estimate. And architects always do estimate on what the project cost is going to be, but they'll go through all the design, and once the design and it goes through DSA, then it will go out to bid, and that's when the $8 million or so. It could be more, it could be less. It's just their estimate
Okay, so we're paying them $922,300 for what?
for their services.
What, to do
For
what?
their, Jeff, you want to come up and?
Because then you mentioned a bid, so I'm confused, like, yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Just to answer your question, so HKT would be retained, hired along with our engineering team to design and document the new buildings. Our team includes structural engineer, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, landscape, civil, and we also noted acoustic engineering, and then design of the PV system and battery system that are required by code to be installed on new buildings. And so we would work with your district to design the classrooms, to site the classrooms on the campus, and then to document those and create documents that then go to the Division of the State Architect for review and approval. And then once those are approved by the state architect, we would work with your district to take those out to bid. And then once a contractor is selected, we would then provide construction administration to work with the district's representative, with the contractor to through the construction process. And then once it's finished, completed construction, our work would include closing the project out with DSA so we can get certification that it's been built kind of per state requirements.
Perfect. So you all, HKIT, are the architects.
Yeah.
You'll design the structures, the building, the
Design,
playground, like all of
engineer.
that.
Yeah.
And then we go out for bid to look for, or to solicit for contractors to actually do the work. Perfect. That's so much more clear. Thank you for sharing that. And then also, I know that the design process is like the perfect opportunity for families and community to be involved. And so, don't want to put you on the spot. I know I've talked about this before. I'm feeling like we need a plan, like how are we engaging families? Because while it's great that you all are designing, it needs to be designed in mind of what families and students want. And teachers, they're the ones
Part of-
working.
That's part of the design process, is to have
Perfect.
several meetings with the architect. This is
Okay.
the first step before we can do that.
Thank you. Can you talk to us more about what you all do in the design process with staff and families?
Great question. So there's TK, and there's what TK needs both as a classroom, as you locate them on a campus. And so we would be working with the districts to help establish its sort of what we would call a standard approach to TK. Like, what does our room look like? What does it look like when a family arrives and when a student comes onto the campus? How do we want our play yards to look like for TK? And then what we often will work with the site on is where does the building go and what does it look like? And then what is included in our play yard? What are the play structures? What are the other zones? Are we going to have a place where the kids eat outside? That kind of thing. And so then we will both, again, work to kind of establish what the inside of the box looks like with the district, and then we'll establish what the building looks like and where it's located on campus.
Yeah, how have you all engaged families? And if that's not your role, that's okay, then that's our role. So I'm just trying to get understanding of how those families and teachers and administrators will be engaged in that design process.
So in the past, when I've done it, we have several meetings that we plan. So I work with the site administrator typically, and they get those involved. It'll also be curriculum and instruction people involved because it's program piece, so they'll need their expertise. But it's typically working with the site administrator to form a team who they feel is fit. We might also, because this is TK, we might also engage the lead TK teacher in the district to come also to the meetings. So it's working with the site administrator to get the people involved from the school site. Then I work with the architect, he works with the engineers and everybody on his team, and then we'll work with the bond administration from the district.
Okay, it feels like, and I know we have on the calendar, consent calendar, or on another part of the agenda, a position that's coming back, a project manager for maintenance, that this would not be appropriate for that person to do, but it just feels like we're spending close to $200 million. I don't know how the board feels, but it feels like we need like a parent or a family engagement person to kind of mediate, because you have a big job already, right? Like, that's a lot for one person to do, and you're managing our budget. So that's just something I want to throw out there. I've done it before in other districts where we hired people, a designated person, and that person would be coordinating with the principals and families and teachers to come together and have forums and ideate, like, what do we want this to look like? Because it's their site, right? So I'm just throwing it out there. And maybe next meeting or something, I'll ask for it to be on the agenda. But I just feel like so it can be planned, and then the architects will then participate in that process. Thank you. And my last question for the consent items is 10N, service agreement with Rowe Health. And I have this service agreement with Rowe Health will provide a registered nurse for one medically fragile general education student. And I know you can't talk specifically about the student, but they don't have an IEP. Does the student have a 504 plan? So basically, they're asking for action from the board to allow us to pay a nurse $154,000 for a nurse for a student who does not have an IEP, but they
They have
need
an
a nurse.
individual health plan, but
That was my next question.
Yes.
So they do have an individual health plan?
Yes.
Or independent student health plan?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. That's it for me.
Great. Any other questions or discussion? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent items.
And Board President Hernandez, one of the items did have an amendment to it. That was the certificated
the
report. So it was a
certificate.
slight amendment.
What did you say?
Right, yeah, so item H has an amended list of the certificated human resources report. So the motion would be to approve the consent items with the revised item 10H.
Make motion.
A second.
Great, so it's been properly moved and seconded to approve consent items on the calendar A through N with item 10H as revised before us. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no, and the motion passes. Moving on to 11 action items, we have 11A, which is the Antioch Education Association's initial proposal to Antioch Unified School District for the 2024-2025 school year. And we do have a public comment on this item from Kendra Borja.
Good evening. I'm Kendra Borja. I am the bargaining chair, and we come to you to present our sunshine. The association will propose improvements to impact legislation for community schools, the 26-27 calendar, and the following articles: 11, hours of employment; 12, salary schedule and payment for extra duties; and 15, class size. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, like a question to like staff in general, yes.
The question to respond to her, she said 15. 15 students for what grade? I'm sorry, I
No,
missed that.
Article 15.
I thought
which
she
is
said
class
15
size.
students per class.
But I
was
like your idea.
wow.
We all heard it. Article 15. We'll remember this.
So unless there's any other comments or questions, we are looking for a motion to accept the initial proposal from the Antioch Education Association for 2024 or 2025.
I move, oh, go ahead.
Great, so we'll have Trustee Hack made the motion and Vice President Rocha seconded the motion to accept the initial proposal from Antioch Education Association for 2024, 2025. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed say no, and the motion passes. Moving on to 11B, reinstatement of classified management position, facilities project manager.
So I'll make mention of this. Again, as mentioned earlier, this is a facilities project manager position that goes towards some of the bond management processes. Back in 2012, 2014, and then into 2016, the district had a project manager, had a facilities technician, had actually a director specifically on facilities is where we transitioned. When districts engage in having a bond such as this, the $195 million that we're going to be going through a process, again, working with the construction management teams, working with the architects involved, working to design and connect with the community as the school sites itself, you need other hands that are doing this specific work. And so this is, again, a position that was taken out of the budget when, again, the previous bond had closed. As we are re-engaging in this, we thought it prudent to bring it back to the board to say we'd like to have this position back in the budget. Again, as part of the process of using dollars from a bond sale, you start to be able to use that for positions to actually manage the work internally. So it does not pull from other resources that we have. You use those funds to actually coordinate the bond process. So this is the first step. Again, this particular position then, if brought back into the budget, designed to be used with some of the sale of the bond, would go through the classified personnel department as part of our merit system, going through the process to determine qualified applicants and go through that entire process to bring somebody forward who would be then officially hired into that position. That's what this is designed to do.
Great. Any questions or discussion? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion to reinstate the classified management position of Facilities Project Manager.
I move approval.
I'll second.
Great, so it's been properly moved and seconded to reinstate the classified management position of Facilities Project Manager. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no, and the motion passes. Moving on to 11C, Facility Use Fee Schedule Revision.
I would like to invite up our Assistant Director, Katie Ingalls. She wants to provide a brief overview of the proposed facility use schedule in alignment with the Civic Center Act of 2020.
Good evening. I want to first thank Bill Whitney and Liz Robbins for meeting with me to come together to create this proposal. I work a lot with our youth feeder programs, and a lot of the times finances is a barrier for our students, so we wanted to find a way to make sure we're calculating our fees correctly. So we used the calculator provided by the California Department of Education to calculate our fees for our most rented facilities. And a lot of the rates they're going to see is a decrease in some of the rates. One will increase, but we were only charging $5 an hour to use a field, and that's only a slight increase to 20. So we put ourselves more in the average of what districts in our area are charging, and hopefully it'll make it more accessible for our youth programs to use our facilities, and more kids involved, the better.
Good.
Great. Any questions?
I don't have
Trustee Lee.
a question, but I do want to say thank you because community, organizations have been talking about their concern about our hike in fees. And so it's really nice to be able to have lower fees for them. But, I think our schools they belong to our community. And so it's nice to be able to have them use the facilities after hours.
They absolutely do, and that was the goal, is to make sure we're not losing money when they're using it, so we're able to pay everybody, but also it's as cheap as we can get it while still keeping the lights on. But I totally agree.
I have a question.
Yes, Vice President
Do we
Rocha.
review this every so often, or it just happened that you came across and decided to look at it, and then, and I like the fee reduction.
Yeah, well, I work a lot with our youth programs, and it often comes up as an area of concern. So I started looking at neighboring districts and what they charge, and I did a fee comparison, and then I looked at ours, and then I sat down with Ms. Robbins, and we kind of calculated what does it cost us in electricity to run this facility, like our stadium, for example, and then by union contract, how many hours are we paying when somebody is in that facility, and we got it down to the dollar of.
Very good.
Yeah, hopefully. We're hoping to be as close as possible.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Great. And any other questions?
No, I want to add, I believe in being responsive to people, whether we do what they want or maybe sometimes we can't. But I do also feel like it's a response to what community organizations have been asking for. So we actually listened. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you, I guess the question I have is, can you clarify to who these charges correspond to? Because I know that, in the document we have before us, it talks specifically about youth service organizations and that promote sports in particular. And we have the fee schedule here for our gyms, our turf, and grass practice fields. So what kinds of organizations can take advantage of those rates, and say other organizations that want to do things that maybe aren't sports related to that? Is there a different fee schedule, or what are the things kind of governing that kind of use of our facilities?
So we have two fee schedules. One's for-profit entities and one for nonprofit. We really looked at the nonprofit, which are a lot of our youth programs, but also a lot of our programs that are doing community services. They'll qualify under a 501(c). They'll qualify as a nonprofit. And if they qualify as a nonprofit, all we're charging is what it cost us to run the facility, so lights, and probably sewage, water, all those things. And then also our contractual obligations. So that's what we charge for our nonprofit. And then for-profit, the margin's a little bit different. There's money in there for deferred maintenance and things like that to maintain our facilities too.
Got it. Great, thank you. So unless there's other questions, I will entertain a motion to approve the revised facility use fee schedule as presented.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Great, so it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the revised facility use fee schedule as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no, and the motion passes. Moving on to 11D, stipulated expulsion, number 857. This was an item discussed in closed session that now comes to us to approve in open session. So I'll entertain a motion to approve stipulated expulsion, number 857, as presented.
So move.
Second.
Great, so it's been properly moved and seconded to approve stipulated expulsion, number 857. All in favor say aye. Aye. All approved say no.
No.
So the motion passes 3-1 with trustee Lathan voting no. Moving on to 12 items for information, discussion, action by board. A, there are none. 13 resolutions for first reading. A, there are none. 14 resolutions for immediate actions. The first one we have before us is A, Resolution 2024-2527, proprietary specifications for Bell and Gossett pump units.
Yes, this is a resolution similar to what we've done in the past for a specific piece of equipment to replace the cooling towers at Deer Valley High School.
Great. Any questions or discussion? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion to approve the resolution as
Move
presented.
approval.
Second.
Great, so it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the resolution approving the proprietary specifications for Bell and Gossett pump units. All in favor say aye. Aye. All in favor say no, and the motion passes. Moving on to 14B, Resolution 2024-2528, authorizing instructors to teach outside of credential authorization for the 2024-25 school year.
Good evening, Board. So as per usual, approval of this resolution will permit the employees listed to teach the applicable class or subject specifically for the 24-25 school year. The personnel listed are serving in full-time positions this year with our district and do have full credentials that are listed on the right side of the document, but they need an additional authorization for their special assignment or a portion of their assignment for the year.
Great. Any questions from board members? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
So move.
Second.
Great, so it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the resolution authorizing instructors to teach outside of credential authorization for the 2024-25 school year. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no, and the motion passes. Moving on to item C, Resolution 2024-2529, authorizing the issuance and sale of general obligation bonds, election of 2024 Series A.
Hi, so we have Katie Dobson, who's our bond counsel, if you have specific questions. But this is the resolution to issue bonds for Measure B.
Great. Any questions? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Great, so it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of general bond obligations for the election of 2024 Series A. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say no, and the motion passes. Moving on to item D, Resolution 2024-2530, authorizing the issuance and sale of 2024 general obligation refunding bonds.
And as we talked about at the last board meeting, this is if the interest rate and the return is appropriate, we will do some refunding on some current bonds.
Good.
Great, so unless there's any follow-up questions, I will approve will entertain a motion to approve the resolution. Yes,
I
trustee
do have a question. I think it's just can you explain what this means for the public?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank
So, in the current interest rate market, there may be an opportunity for the district to refinance some of its outstanding bonds, resulting in savings for the taxpayers. We'll reduce the interest rates on some of our outstanding bonds.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, so there's a motion to approve the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Great, so it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of 2024 general obligation refunding bonds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say no, and the motion passes. Next, moving on to 15, resolutions for second reading and action. All of the resolutions before us today are now being seen for the second time that highlight different months and times of the year that we highlight events, cultures, and different things to commemorate. We can talk about any of these individually or take all of these items together. Any questions or discussion on any of the items A through U?
I would take them all together. I make a motion to approve resolutions A to U.
Great. So there's a motion on the table to approve resolutions A through U. Is there a second?
Second. Okay.
Great. So it's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor of approving the resolutions A through U as presented, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. And the motion passes. Moving on to 16, board policies for first reading, there are none. 17, board policies for second reading and action, there are none. 18, information items for general information, there are none. 19, future agenda items from board members. Item A, we'll start with Vice President Rocha. Any future agenda items?
Well, I think one of the main ones is goal setting for us. Hopefully, we can get a date set. Second, I know that the ROTC, I'm sure that my friend here, Clyde, would have been here. Yeah, if it wasn't, he couldn't be here. But I will say it for him, we have an individual that's interested in our district, and if we can have somebody from our district contact that person, I think we'll have this done. Oh, you have a meeting tomorrow? Thank you very much. For the ROTC.
Oh,
We've been on hold for quite a while, and we found another solution. Thank you.
Great. Trustee Lathan.
community and some kind of position I want to just at least have a conversation about, like a community engagement position. Not necessarily parent engagement, but this is more related to the bond funds and making sure that we're engaging students, families, and the staff in the design processes for updated buildings, new buildings, and all of the construction that's happening.
Great. Trustee Hack.
Nothing to add.
Great. Moving on to item 20, additional comments, which exceeded the first 30-minute session limit. We have no additional comments. And then moving on to 21, reports / comments from board members. Reports, comments relative to membership or other organizations. We'll start with Trustee Hack.
I think it's just good to be back to school, minus the traffic, of course, around our houses, which is there. But also, it's time to get out and about again to see the different school sites and different happenings, including the summer graduation at Deer Valley coming up this Friday. Yeah. That's it.
Trustee Lathan.
I think I already shared about the water education for Latino leaders. I went to the second session in San Diego. It was amazing learning about climate change, water health, and all of that. And so I'm hoping that our students will be learning something similar in terms of climate change. So that's it for me. And welcome back, everyone.
And then Vice President Rocha.
I just hope that we can go to the summer graduation because we've done all the other ones. And so this would be nice to have at least most of us there on Friday, Deer Valley High School Theater, 7 o'clock.
Great. And then I'll start. I think it's appropriate to address the reason why I think a lot of people are here. And I think it's important that really the conversation is a message of hope and moving forward. And I think, like people said here, healing as a school district, something that I've proudly said over and over and over again is we have amazing, great people here. We have amazing, great staff. We have amazing, great students. And now it's time for us as a board to provide the direction, the vision, the leadership to make sure that we're all a unified force moving together. I think each and every day we all see the glimpses of hope, of passion from our students, from each other. I know that education is not an easy place to be in, and you all come and show up each and every day. And I think there is a sense of poetic justice that we have such a defining change in leadership and movement at the beginning of a school year. Because the beginning of a school year is a time where we see so much hope, where we see so much excitement from students, so much joy each and every day before we get into the everyday struggles that we face in education. And so I'd like to thank really my colleagues up here for, joining together and moving us forward in a unified direction. I'd like to really highlight, the employees who have spearheaded, who have continually spoken up for the ways that we can continue to improve as a school district, for the vulnerability that they showed, because they truly were the ones who led these changes, who lead the impacts that we're hoping to make now as a school district. So when we look back years from now and see progress, see change, see movement as a district, that's really where it began. And we as a board cannot take credit for that. That really came from the employees, from the community, from the families in the school district. Our job is to take that call and act on it. So I just wanted to really focus on that. And let's move forward. I think there's no reason to dwell on the way that things have been. We all together in this community are a team. Antioch's been my home for nearly 30 years. And I've never felt so hopeful as I do today. And I hope that you all feel that as well, because there's greatness within this school district and within each and every one of us. And now it's time to let that greatness really show. So I just want to thank the community and everyone for all the time that they've given to make these things possible. In terms of other updates on things that I've been working on and things related to my role here. So I won't be at the next board meeting on September 11th. I will be in Seattle doing a certificate in education finance through through Georgetown University. I think it's important as we move forward with more challenging financial times coming from the state level that we do everything we can as trustees to really understand budgets, understand finance, and best prepare us to deal with any challenges that are coming forward. They've been really gracious to offer me a full scholarship for that program, so I'm taking advantage of that to bring that back here to our community. And then lastly, I want to highlight the book for today. It's called
I want to share. I don't know if you want that to be last or if you want to say that and then I go last.
I'll say this, yeah, because it's just a fun book today. No huge meaning or overarching story to it. It's a book called The Day the Crayons Quit. It's by Drew DeWalt, and it really is a story of a kid learning a lot about these different personalities and grievances that his crayons has as he's used them for a number of different purposes. So I think it's a really fun book. Yes, Trustee Lathan.
See, that would have been nice to end on. As you all know, we had our Equity and Excellence Board Ad Hoc Committee, several meetings, and we met to review the district-wide equity audit, which had kind of a high-level overview of patterns and trends from all the different 25 schools that we have. So it focused on culture and climate, academic achievement, and another area that I don't remember, engaging instruction. So we had several meetings, and the team of people, there are about 15 people on the team who range from teachers, classified staff, parents, district office leaders, and myself and President Hernandez. We had a series of meetings. In the last one we kind of talked about some possible goals that we will introduce to the board or share with the board just as a introductory conversation. So I shared the draft with the team. I know there's district folks looking at it, and we have about 7 draft goals with some areas underneath. So we're just trying to make sure it's a little more polished before we bring it to the board for discussion. So wanted to just give you all an update on that.
Great. Moving on to future meetings. So our next meeting is on September 11th, followed by a meeting on September 25th. Lastly, we are now at adjournment, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Great, so it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
So it's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no, and the motion passes.